Life isn't always easy. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart. Your plans, your dreams, even your hope. But guess what? That's exactly where success begins. This is the true story of Maya. A girl who had nothing and found everything. Maya used to wake up every morning feeling lost. Her job barely paid her bills. Her friends were moving on with their lives, and her dreams of starting a business felt impossible. She cried herself to sleep more times than she could count. People told her to just be strong. But no one saw the storm she was fighting inside. Then, one rainy evening, everything changed. She was walking home in the cold, tired and soaked, when she saw a tiny note stuck to a pole. It read, "Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise." That sentence hit her like lightning. Something inside her clicked. She went home, opened her old notebook, and wrote 3 words. Start. Right. Now. The next morning, Maya did something she had never done before. She got up an hour earlier and started working on her dream, one small step at a time. She made a plan. She wrote her goals down. And even when things got tough, she kept going. There were days she wanted to quit. Days she thought, "Why am I doing this?" But every time, she remembered that rainy evening and the note that changed everything. She started finding new ways to stay motivated, like watching inspiring videos, reading success stories, and writing daily affirmations. And then, something amazing happened. She got her first client. It wasn't much, just a small order. But to Maya, it felt like winning the lottery. That one moment showed her that yes, it's possible. If she could do that, what else could she do? Maya's journey wasn't perfect. She faced setbacks. She made mistakes. People doubted her. But she kept showing up, every single day. And just when it seemed like things were finally looking up, life threw her another curveball. That's when she learned the most powerful lesson of all. Staying motivated isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up every time you do. So how did Maya keep going when the world felt heavy? It started with one simple habit that changed everything. Every night before bed, Maya began writing down 3 things she was grateful for. It didn't matter how bad the day was. She forced herself to find something good. Some days it was small things like, "I had a warm cup of tea," or "I smiled at a stranger." Other times it was big. "I finished that project I was scared of," or "Someone finally believed in me." That small habit changed her mindset. Slowly, she stopped focusing on what she didn't have and started seeing what she could create. Her energy shifted. Her confidence grew. And guess what? People noticed. Her friends started asking her what she was doing differently. Her boss gave her more responsibility at work. Even strangers online began liking and sharing the motivational quotes she posted daily. But then, just when everything seemed to be falling into place, her biggest client canceled. Her savings dropped to nearly 0. Doubt came crawling back. Maya felt the old fear return, the voice in her head whispering, "You're not good enough. This was just luck. You should give up." For a moment, she almost listened. But instead of breaking down, she opened that same notebook. The one she had started on that rainy night. She flipped through the pages, her goals, her wins, her gratitude lists, and one thing became clear. She had come too far to quit now. So she made a choice. She wouldn't give up. Not now. Not ever. Instead, she made a new plan, a better one. She decided to invest in herself. She signed up for a free course online to improve her skills. She emailed 10 potential clients that same day. She even made a video sharing her story, scared, shaking, but honest. That video? It went viral. Overnight, Maya's inbox was filled with messages. People from all over the world were thanking her for her honesty. Some wanted to work with her. Others just wanted to say, "You inspired me." Maya realized something important. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with real, with raw, with truth. And in that moment, Maya stopped chasing success the way the world defined it. She started chasing something better, purpose. Maya finally understood that success wasn't just about money or followers or proving people wrong. It was about doing what mattered, even when it was hard, even when no one clapped, even when she felt like she had nothing left to give. So, she asked herself one question that would change everything. Who am I helping by not giving up? Suddenly, the pressure she felt turned into power. Her pain became fuel. She remembered all those nights she cried herself to sleep, and she realized she wasn't the only one. There were thousands, maybe millions of people out there going through the same thing, thinking they were alone. Maya decided to become the voice she wished she had heard when she was struggling. She started posting short videos. Not perfect, not polished, but real. She talked about fear, failure, self-doubt, and how she pushed through it. She shared her small wins and even her losses. People didn't just watch. They commented, they shared, they cried. Every message she received reminded her why she kept going. I was going to quit my dream, but your story gave me hope. You made me feel like I'm not a failure. Because of you, I started again. Her inbox turned into a journal of strangers finding strength. All because Maya dared to keep going when it was easier to give up. But with that growth came new problems. Bigger problems. The kind that tested her more than ever before. She began getting offers, big brands, speaking events, partnerships. It all sounded amazing, but deep down she felt overwhelmed. Imposter syndrome crept back in. She thought, who am I to do this? What if I mess up? What if people find out I'm still figuring things out? She started feeling like a fraud, like she didn't belong. The fear was loud, almost louder than her belief. Almost. Because one morning, as she sat staring at her laptop, frozen with doubt, she got a message. Just one line. It said, "Please don't stop. We still need you." Maya burst into tears. And right then she remembered. You don't have to be perfect to make a difference. You just have to be honest. You just have to keep showing up. So she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and hit post on the next video. And just like that, she stepped into her purpose again. Not because she felt ready, but because she knew someone out there still needed a reason to believe. But what happened next? No one, not even Maya, could have expected it. Within hours of posting that video, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Ping, ping, ping. Notifications poured in. Comments, shares, emails. But one message stood out from the rest. It was from a woman named Alicia, the CEO of a growing media company. Alicia wrote, "I came across your video by accident. Or maybe it wasn't an accident at all. We're looking for a new face for our Real Voices campaign. Someone raw, someone real. I think that's you. Let's talk." Maya froze. Her heart raced. This wasn't just another opportunity. This was everything she had dreamed of, but never dared to believe would actually happen. The same girl who once cried over job rejections and empty emails was now being invited to speak for a brand that reached millions. She stared at the message for a full 10 minutes before she whispered to herself, "You're ready." And so for the first time in her life, Maya said yes, not just to an offer, but to herself, to the woman she had become. The one who survived the storms. The one who refused to quit. Days later, she was sitting in a sleek office, lights shining, cameras rolling, her story being filmed for the world to hear. She looked nervous, but her voice didn't shake. Because every word came from a place of truth. She told the world about her fear, her failures, her rock-bottom moments. She told them how a tiny note on a rainy night lit a fire inside her that never went out. She told them how one habit, writing down gratitude, kept her going when nothing else could. And when the final clip aired, it reached more people than she ever imagined. Not thousands. Not hundreds of thousands. Millions. Her inbox exploded. But it wasn't just praise. It was stories. Stories from people who had been where she was. People who had lost jobs, lost hope, lost themselves. People who had stopped dreaming until they heard her speak. That's when Maya realized. She was no longer just surviving. She was leading. But with new success came new pressure. More eyes on her. More expectations. And that's when the next big test came. The one that would either break her or make her stronger than ever. Because sometimes when the world sees your light, there are people who want to shut it off. A post went viral. But not in the way Maya hoped. Someone from her past had dug up an old clip. One where Maya had broken down, crying uncertain, admitting she was barely holding it together. The person posted it with the caption, "This is who people are calling a role model?" What a joke. It spread fast. People were divided. Some defended her. Others mocked her. The headlines read things like, "Influencer or imposter? Tears don't equal truth." Maya saw it all. For a full day, she didn't leave her bed. All the old doubts returned, louder than ever. But then something even more powerful showed up. A message from a teenage girl. Just 7 words. "Because of you, I didn't give up." Maya wiped her tears, sat up, and smiled. Because in that moment she realized, they can doubt her. They can mock her. But they will never take away the lives she's touched. And just like that, she opened her laptop and began to write something that would silence the noise and remind the world exactly who she was. She titled it simply, "To anyone who's ever been told they're not enough." Then she wrote, "Yes, that video of me crying is real. Yes, I was scared. Yes, I doubted myself. And yes, I'm still standing. Because strength isn't pretending you're perfect. It's showing up with your whole heart, even when it's broken. I never claimed to be flawless. I claim to be honest. And if my truth makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's because you're still hiding yours. This story isn't just mine anymore. It belongs to everyone who's ever felt small, silenced, or not good enough. You are seen. You are strong. And your voice matters." She hit post. No filters. No edits. No fancy graphics. Just words from her heart. And then silence. For a minute. Then a wave. Not a storm of hate, but a flood of love. People reposted her message, using the hashtag #StillStanding. Mothers, students, artists, even CEOs, all sharing their own stories of failure, fear, and comeback. Within 48 hours, Maya's post had over 10 million views. She was invited to speak at schools, on panels, even on national TV, not as a celebrity, but as a voice for the broken. She wasn't just inspiring people anymore. She was empowering them. But something else happened too, something Maya never expected. One day, after an event, a young woman approached her in tears. She held out a crumpled note, worn, folded 1,000 times. Maya took it, confused, and when she opened it, her breath caught in her throat. It said, "Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise." The same words that started everything for Maya. "I found this 3 years ago," the girl whispered. "It kept me alive. I never knew where it came from, until I watched your video." Maya stood frozen, heart pounding, eyes full. It was in that exact moment she understood. Her pain had created a ripple she could never have imagined. A full circle, from lost girl to lifeline. And yet, her journey wasn't over. Because success isn't a finish line. It's a decision, made every day, to keep showing up. And as the world kept turning, Maya knew another storm would come. But this time, she wasn't afraid. Because she had built something stronger than fame. Stronger than doubt. Stronger than fear. She had built faith. In herself, and in the people who were walking the same road. And so, as she stood backstage, about to walk out and speak to a crowd of over 30,000 people, she took one deep breath, and whispered the words that had saved her so long ago. "Start. Right. Now." Then she stepped into the light, not as someone who had all the answers, but as someone who refused to let the darkness win. The crowd erupted into applause as Maya walked on stage, but she didn't rush to speak. She stood quietly for a moment, scanning the thousands of faces before her. Some were cheering, some holding signs with her name, and some just staring, wide-eyed, hopeful, and hungry for something real. She smiled. Not the practiced, camera-ready smile, but the kind of smile that comes from scars healing. Then she began. "I used to believe I had to wait until I was successful to speak up. But I've learned that your story is powerful right now. Even if it's messy, even if you're still figuring it out." The crowd went silent. The world will try to convince you that you're only worthy when you've made it. But let me tell you the truth. You're worthy when you wake up and try again. Eyes began to water. People nodded. Someone shouted, "Yes. If you're struggling, I see you. If you've failed, I understand you. And if you're still standing, even if you're shaking, you are strong beyond measure." She paused. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be brave enough to take the next step. At that, The room lit up with applause again, but Maya wasn't done. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small, almost unnoticeable. It was the original note. The one she had found on that rainy night. She held it up. This saved me. Not because of how fancy it looked, but because of what it said. 7 words. That's all it took to keep me going. A hush fell over the arena. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Tonight, when you go home, write a note like this. Leave it somewhere a stranger can find it. Because maybe, just maybe, your small act of courage will save someone else's life. And just like that, Maya had started something new. A movement. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about them, the people in the crowd. The girl in the back row clinging to hope. The man in the third row hiding his tears. The teenager live streaming the speech from her bedroom. Too scared to tell anyone she was watching. Maya walked off the stage to a standing ovation. But more than applause, she felt something deeper. Peace. Because now she knew. The real win wasn't the fame. It wasn't the stage. It wasn't even the success. It was the impact. And as she made her way back to her hotel that night, her phone buzzed again. Another message. But this one wasn't from a fan. It was from someone she hadn't heard from in years. One sentence. Simple. Direct. Maya, it's your father. Can we talk? Her heart stopped. She hadn't seen him since the day he walked out. Since the day she promised herself she'd never need him again. And just like that, a new chapter was about to begin. Maya stared at the message, frozen. Maya, it's your father. Can we talk? For a moment, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her. That maybe it was some kind of cruel joke. But no, the number was real. The name was real. The emotions flooding her chest? Too real. She sat on the edge of the hotel bed, her phone still glowing in her hand. Memories she'd buried deep came rushing back. The day he left. The silence that followed. The birthdays with an empty chair at the table. The letters she never sent. The anger she wore like armor. Because it was easier than feeling abandoned. She had built her strength without him. She had learned to survive without his voice. But now here it was again. His voice asking to be heard. She didn't reply that night. Instead, she walked out onto the hotel balcony and stared at the city lights below. Life had brought her so far, from barely affording bus fare to standing on global stages. And yet, this one message had shaken her more than all the critics, failures, or fears ever had. Because this wasn't about her public story anymore. This was personal. The next morning she replied, I'm open to a conversation. 1. That's all I can promise for now. The typing bubble appeared almost instantly. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. They agreed to meet in a quiet cafe on the edge of the city, a place with no cameras, no crowds, no spotlight. When Maya walked in, her father was already there. Older, grayer, but still recognizable. He stood up slowly, unsure if he should hug her or stay still. Maya paused, then sat down across from him. The silence between them wasn't cold. It was full, heavy, waiting. Finally he spoke. You became everything I always hoped you'd be. I didn't know how to stay long enough to see it. Maya's hands trembled slightly, but her voice was calm. Why now? He looked down. Because your voice reached places I never could. Because I saw you, really saw you, and I realized. I left behind someone who became extraordinary without me. And I'm sorry. Tears welled up in his eyes. And for the first time in years, Maya didn't feel rage. She didn't feel pity. She felt clarity. Because this moment wasn't about closure. It was about choice. And Maya chose Grace. Not because he earned it, but because she deserved to be free. I don't know if we can rebuild anything, she said softly. But maybe we can start again. As two people trying. He nodded. Slowly. Gratefully. And just like that, the past didn't disappear. But it stopped having power over her future. That night, back in her hotel room, Maya opened her journal. The same one she had started years ago, and wrote, Forgiveness isn't letting someone off the hook. It's letting yourself off the hook they left in you. But as she put her pen down, her phone buzzed again. This time it was her agent. Urgent. You've been nominated. Call me ASAP. Maya blinked. Nominated? She called. Congratulations, her agent said. You've been nominated for Global Human Voice of the Year. You're the youngest ever on the list. Maya covered her mouth, overwhelmed. But before she could say anything, her agent continued. You'll be speaking at the ceremony. They want you to close the night. Her heart pounded. From rock bottom to center stage. From voiceless to voice of the year. And as she looked at herself in the mirror that night, no makeup, hair undone, just her, Maya whispered. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Because now a new fire had been lit. And what she was about to say on that stage would shake the world. The night of the award ceremony arrived. Maya stood backstage, dressed simply but powerfully, not in a gown meant to impress, but in clothes that made her feel grounded, real. She didn't want to appear untouchable. She wanted to walk onto that stage exactly as she was, a fighter, a survivor, a voice for every person still climbing out of the dark. The announcer's voice boomed through the auditorium. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Global Human Voice of the Year, Maya Evans. The applause was thunderous. She stepped into the spotlight. And for a moment, just one, she closed her eyes. She remembered the girl with the wet shoes on a rainy night, holding a small note. The one who had nothing. Who started with nothing. Who almost quit, but didn't. Then she opened her eyes and spoke. I want to start by saying, this moment doesn't belong to just me. It belongs to every single person who thought they wouldn't make it. Every person who cried themselves to sleep, who kept quiet when they wanted to scream, who showed up when they had every reason not to. People think success looks like stages and spotlights. But real success? It's waking up on the worst day of your life and deciding to try anyway. The room was silent. Every heart in sync with hers. If you're still in your dark season, please hear me. Your story is not over. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You are still becoming. She paused and smiled gently. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take one brave step. And then another. That's how I got here. One note. One habit. One choice. Over and over. She held up a copy of the note that started it all. The same 7 words. Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. The crowd rose to their feet, clapping, crying, cheering. But Maya? She didn't feel like she had reached the finish line. She felt like she was finally standing at the start. That Maya's story reminds us all of something powerful. That success doesn't start with certainty. It starts with struggle, with fear, with one tiny choice to keep going, even when everything screams quit. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs real ones. People who rise, fall, and rise again. People who turn pain into purpose. People who show us that motivation isn't a magic feeling, it's a daily decision. So if you're going through your own dark season, let this be your sign. You don't need a clear path. You just need to start. Right now. Because someone out there is waiting for your story. And when you choose not to give up, you give the world permission to hope again. From struggles to success, your journey is your power. And the best part? It's still being written.